Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Ann Hine, Embroidery Software Specialist for Janome America. And let me get the camera on and tell you what we're up to today. So here we go. There we are. All right, so welcome. So one of our members on the page was asking about bringing two designs together from different manufacturers. And she's doing the Christmas tree skirt. A lot of us have been doing, I'm still working on mine. A lot of us were doing that. And the first part of it, the first 3 rows are from another manufacturer. Now, someone else came out with this scallop edge for their tree skirt, and she really likes it, so she wants to add it to hers. So I'm going to show you how to do that in Artistic. And I'm going to try to do these videos from time to time when people have questions about their software. I'm going to see if I can pop on, make a quick video, and go from there. It all depends on my time. So let's get started, and we'll go to the software, and we'll make it, see what we can make. All right, so here is the design already here. So this is the bottom that she wants to add, and I'm going to rotate this around so that it's sitting in the right direction. I'm going to move it towards the bottom of my hoop. And you can see that this part is straight. That's important to look at. And I want to make sure before I do that, did I rotate it so it's flat? Sometimes, yeah, we're good. I think we're good on that. And I could use the numbers. I could put in numbers to rotate it. There we go. I think we're on now. All right, I'm just going to move it down to the bottom. Two things with this. This design is a bit bigger than the spot where it goes. So I'm going to take this one and copy it. Then I'll paste it right in here. Now both of these run my USB stick, so they're easy to get to, and I use the browse function. So you can see these two pieces, how they would go together. Now, if I wanted to, I could move this up a little bit. Let's do that. I could make this fit with this, and I'd have a big gap here, which, all right, maybe we want that. But let me show you what I would do here. So let's go down here to guidelines, and I'm going to put a guideline here. Okay, guideline, and click there. There we go. On that edge, so you can see how that's going to come down. And I'll adjust that in a minute. Let me get this one in. There we go. So I can move that so it aligns right there like this, right on that edge. Let's look at that up close. Let's move this over. So that's like the outside edge of that piece. Let's go to this side and put it on the outside edge there. Okay. And then I need to come up here and bring this in just a bit so it matches the edge of that. There we go. All right, so now I have my shape, and you can see that, I'll get this back in the center here for you. You can see that it still doesn't fit. I would have to move this way down, so we could do that. Let's go up here and go to selection and select this. And I could move it down, and it's gonna fit somewhere down here. So that's a really big, I don't think she wants to add that much scallop to her piece. That would be a lot. So what I would suggest is making this design just a little bit smaller. So let me bring it back up, and we'll bring it up closer. And then I would just make my pieces maybe my guys just a little bit smaller. You could bring them in closer together if you wanted. Now you're going to have to do this with each one of your blocks. You're going to remake the outer part, but you're going to have to fix the inside of each of the ones that you're going to do. And even there, with their little snowballs cut off, that's still a lot of space there. So I would really want it to be closer like this. And I could always populate some of these snowflakes up in here when I make this a little smaller. I could make these guys come in a little closer. I would have to make sure I select everything. And then these would overlap here. I don't know how well that would work. It depends on how it is digitized. So I'd have to pull in all these elements. I would have to make sure I have everything here when I do that. And then I could slide it over. And there, look, I'm missing some parts. And oh, it's a pain. So I think I would just make the whole thing a little bit smaller, just to make it easier. But if you want to fiddle with it, you're welcome to fiddle with it. And I don't even know if I put it back. Yeah, I did put it in the right spot. So yeah, so I don't know if I would move those parts. I just don't know. Maybe. I mean, if I try to catch them all like this, see, I'm going to get all of that, hopefully all of it, and this section here. I'm hitting Shift, and I'm going to try to touch this section right there. And let's see if I just bring it over. Is it grabbing everything? Oh, it is grabbing everything. I could bring it over so it's inside and maybe down a little bit, like that. So maybe I would want to do that. Okay, that's an option instead of making it smaller. But now and since you're going to have more space up there, you can move your guy up a little bit. This guy could be moved up. You're going to have to make this change every time for each of your blocks as you go around. But let's create that center part. I'm going to undo this again and put my piece back to the normal spot. There we go. Oops, one up. There we go. And I still may want them just slightly closer than that. So I am going to move them up just a bit more for my liking, like this. There we go. And maybe I would want it maybe this close. There's a little bit of a spot there. Now I can go and reshape these guys if I wanted to, but I don't really want, I could mess with them. This is the placement line, this is the tack down, and this is the finishing because I think it's part of putting the backing on. I'm not sure exactly because I don't have the directions. But what I am going to do is I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to make it proportionally smaller. And I think I'm going to go and make it like 87. And that brings everything in a little bit. I could go a little bit higher, so maybe 89. Let's see what 89 did. Oh, let's undo. There we go. Let's make this 89. We just want it inside. There we go. That's good. So I brought it down to 89%. And it goes back to 100. So there we go. That's what we need. And I didn't grab that outer blue one, and I'm okay with that. But I do need to make the shape here that's going to fit. So I'm going to leave the blue there, and I can take my outline shape tool, and I can start right here, and I can do a shift. So I get a square node, and then I'm going to have a square node here. And then I'm just going to come across here like this, putting my nodes in. I want a square node here and a square node here. I think I want a curve. I'm going to do a curve node here, one here, one here, and then I'm going to come here and I'm going to click on there and I have this solid piece. I'm going to select it. I don't need the inside, so I'm going to delete it right here. I know it's the only red selected. And now I have my black section. And I'm going to take that section, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to do order, and I'm going to do back of design. So I can bring it to the top here of my sequence window. So you guys can see that. There's a little dot here. We can move that up quicker. There we go. So that's the piece I drew. And I'm going to use that to create everything else that I need. All right, so, and I can adjust where I have that if I'm going to, depending on what I'm going to do with it. So I might need to move, I'm going to select all of these here. and I can move them up all at once. If I put my cursor in here and get those arrows, I can bring this up all at once. So to reshape that, if I want it closer. And so now I have that. I'm going to take these and like that. And I'm just going to move them to the side for a minute. They're still going to be in there, but they're to the side. All right. So now you can see that I have that one shape. Now it's not quite up in the corner here. So if I want to, let's select it. And let's move this node up. I want to get it right where I want it. Okay. So this piece here, when we start out, this could be my tack down if I wanted it to be or my placement. It could be my placement. You could make your placement a little bit smaller if you wanted to, but then let's do a duplicate and then let's change the color. And I did duplicate because it'll keep it in line here. So I'll have both of these right here. I'm going to go to auto so it'll separate it. And now I have manual. So here's the first one. That's going to be placement. This will be tack down. And then if I want to do one that's satin stitch, I would duplicate again. And then I would just change color. Let's make that one a weird color down here. I'm going to pick this lime color. And in my properties, I'm going to go to satin serial and I'm going to make it 3.0 mm. There we go. Let's take a look. And now I have my my piece there. Now let me take my little guides off. And there we go. I may want to adjust here and here so that it's not so far outside. I can adjust that. I can play around with the placement of these guys, or I can even bring up this curve here if I wanted to. But what I want to do is this design here, I'm going to need to bring this from place to place when I do all my other ones. So I'm going to perfect it here and then move it on. If you don't want to have 2 rows of satin stitch here, and you just want to tuck your piece underneath and then just satin stitch over the whole thing on your sewing machine, or which would be a nice option, because I think that's what you're going to end up doing. I'm not really sure. You know, this one is already completed. It's already on the, I think it's already sewn all together. The backing might even be on. But if you didn't want the piece here, so let's turn off the guides here. Go up here. Always remember that if you have something, there we go. Let's just take this for a minute and I'm just going to move it down. There we go. If I don't want satin stitching across the top here, let's select this one. I can go to Edit Nodes. I can click on this node and say Split Outline. Come over here to this node and Split Outline. And then come back here, go in close. Let's click off of it. I should be able to click just that top. Maybe I have to do Break Apart. Now, there we go. Now you can see, let's move this up. I took away that satin. And how did I do that? Let's go back so we can see that. I'm going to put it all back together. And one more. There we go. Let's move it down. Here we go. All right, I'm going to do, I just want just the green part. So I'm going to select just the green. And I'm going to go to Edit Nodes. I'm going to right-click right here, Split Outline. I'm going to go over to the other one, right-click, Split Outline. Then I'm going to hit Select to turn it off. Then I'll go to right-click, Break Apart, and then you'll see when you click on this, you have that little piece there. You can see it in your options there. Now what I would do is I would save this piece right here. All right, this is the piece I'm going to use. So what I could do is select all of these, right-click and copy. Let's take them to a new page and paste them. And then I would save this. I would come up here to File, which you can't see because it's off of there. I would do File, Save As, and I would put it in a folder. It's going to go in my Documents, but I'm going to put it on my USB stick, and it's going to be a draw file, and I'm going to call it New Shape, like that, and I'll save it. And I'm going to save it as a draw first, and then if I want to put it on my USB, I can do it again. I can do it through this also. I can go to USB storage. I like going there because there it opened my USB. I don't have to go look for it. Click on that. Yes, it's going to be prepared for my CM17 because it doesn't have any, right now my stick does not have any folders on it. Does not have the EMB or EMBF, so I'm going to say yes. I don't really need those folders, but there it is. And if I go up a level, here is my new shape draw because it's not in a folder. It's on the same level as my EMB. And if I want to go back, let's see, I'm going to change this. It's going to be a Jeff and new shape Jeff. I'm going to export it to my stick. Let's go back and look at that stick. Select it. I didn't put it in my EMBF, so it's not there. I'm going to go up. It's not right here, but it is up here. There's my EMB. It's alongside my EMB. So I will have to use my up arrow in my machine, but new shape draw and new shape JPX. So now I have both of those saved. All right. So that's what I would do. And then going back here, I would have to go around to all my sections and fix these. Now, Jill did mention to me that this one here has snow and things like that. And of course, you can add those applique elements in here if you'd like to. All right, you would just draw them in and then recreate your shapes. Remember, you're going to have to reorganize this. Right now, what I have is this in, let me delete that top one because I don't need it right now so you can see. Let's take this and delete it. So we just have this on here. When I go to the top of my piece here, I have my placement and tack down, and then I have the satin part. I don't really want to do this satin to the end. So I could select these two pieces and go to Order, to Front of Design, and now it'll be the last thing that'll stitch. And I need to delete the guys that are over here because I'm not going to use them. So I can delete those. There we go. And I have all my lines here that I need, and I could work with my piece. You just have to remember where you're putting everything. If you're going to draw snow, you may want your snow to go in before you start any of this, before this goes in. Okay, maybe you want some background snow. And you can easily, let's just draw in really quick some snow. I'm just going to pretend here's my little snow. It's going to be behind everybody. There's my snow. Let's select it. Let's go like this and bring it to back of design. And let me go to the top of my piece. And it actually has to come after that. There we go. So it's behind. Now from here I can work with it. It's actually stitches right now, but I could make it an applique, and it's going to give me the parts it needs in the applique. And I would have to fix that up. So maybe here in my applique, I want satin stitch. Now, this is the only thing about doing it this way. It's giving you extra satin stitch here. So this is where I would modify this. I might do the lines myself, like I did for this, create the shape instead of doing applique. just create my shape. I'll leave my inside in there for a moment, and just maybe use that part for satin. So I would work from there. So hopefully you guys can understand that. And that looks kind of cute with snow behind there. I like that. That kind of fills up the space nicely. All right, so if you understand what I'm talking about with this, I would use the outline here. I'm going to delete the inside part right now. So I'm going to take the outline and I'm going to duplicate it. And the first one I'm going to keep as is as a running stitch because that's my placement. This is going to tack it down, which I'll make that a different color. So let's just make it. It's hard to see. I don't know what colors they have in here. Maybe this turquoise. And then I'm going to duplicate it again. And this is where I need to change it because I only want the satin stitch right here. So I'm going to put my edit nodes on. I'm going to come here and do split outline, just like I did at the top. Come up here, split outline, select it, break apart, and then it has two parts, right? This part I'm going to delete. This part I'm going to change the color of. So let's make it this pretty color here. And I'm going to make it a satin stitch. And maybe it needs to be, 2.5 mm. There we go. So now you have your placement, your tack down or trim line, and then your satin. And of course you can make this come all the way to the edge. You can fix it all up. And if you don't want it to run behind your guys, select it here. Let's see what it says in properties. So remove overlaps. Let's do always. And then for these guys, you're going to need to select this one and remove overlaps always. Let's see what happens. So you'll have to play around with that part of it, of getting your pieces to have those overlap, to remove those overlaps so you don't stitch behind it. If you can't get it worked out, you can make your stitch go to here and stop it, go from here to here, from here to here, and leave those parts open, okay? So you don't have them running behind there, the satin part. Because you can play around with it. You can get it to work. You can make that work. You have to work with your overlaps. You have to select all these overlaps to make it work. And sometimes that's a lot. And I don't think I want to select, if I selected all of him and I said remove overlaps, it might work. Let's go back to the top. Yeah, I don't see it happening. And that keeps going back. So it could be you need to just do sections of this so you don't have that sticking behind it. But you can play with that and figure it out. So it's very doable of adding elements in here. You just need to remember where you're going to put them and how they're going to go in. All right, so let's go back here and we'll put the camera back on. All right, so hopefully this will help you guys working with projects like this. Remember, you can use all your tools. I didn't have to convert anything to stitches. They're all raw data because they're embroidery files already, but I just worked with the outside parts, the parts I needed to fix, and I could work from there. I can add to it, like with the snow. I could do a lot of different things with this. So hopefully this inspires you to get out there and try some things, and we will, whoops, let me get rid of this little thing. There we go. And work with more of your embroideries. All right, everyone, have a great day.